Hello and welcome back to Odds Now. The Euro 2024 quarterfinals are finally here, and we will continue at a pace previewing every match of this tournament. It's me, Matt Hill, back with Brad Walker to look through four fantastic games which take place across Friday and Saturday. Be sure to let us know your best bets in the comments once you've watched this video. We're going to run through each game and give you our best selections, and we'll start with, well, we probably start with the best. Never mind saving best till last. I mean, Spain versus Germany. This could quite feasibly have been the final, couldn't it, really? Spain come into this contest having won all four of their matches. I think many punters have them as their tournament favourites. Obviously, not quite in the betting market because of the more lopsided draw, but they've won all three of their group stage games without conceding. And then they fell behind early against Austria, but roared back to win that one. 4-1 against Georgia, and that was a really comprehensive success. Some fantastic goals in there. Germany, the hosts, well, they started the tournament emphatically by crushing Scotland 5-1 before edging past Hungary 2-0 in pretty comfortable fashion. And then they had to grab a really late leveller against Switzerland to make sure that they topped the group, and that resulted in them going in this really tough little mini section of the draw. But their first game, the last of the knockouts, the last 16 clash with Denmark, they navigated just about to win 2-0. They had a mad minute in that game where they looked to have conceded before it was chalked off for offside, and then going up the other end and getting a slightly controversial penalty, it must be said. But I think over the course of the 90 minutes, the Germans were good value for that win. Goals could be on the cards here. Spain have scored 9 goals this far. Germany have got 10. So these pair are the most prolific in the tournament at the moment. There's the right players on there to make this an entertaining game, but we all know knockout football and high stakes can sometimes make it go the other way. Looking at the betting ahead of this one, it's La Roja who are the favourites to progress at the moment. They are a best price 9-5 to win it inside 90 minutes. Germany 15-8 best price, and the draw is 9-4. You're going to struggle to get much of odds against about either of these sides in the progress market to qualify. It's a very, very tight contest. Brad, tough one to call this.
Yeah, it is, Matt. Like you said, they've probably been the two most impressive sides of the tournament so far. It could easily have been the final, like you said there. Obviously, the nature of the draw already dictates who makes it to the final and to all the different stages. But we've got some great games coming up over the next couple of days. And like you said, this is one of the standout ones. Both of them were impressive, like you touched upon there in the last 16 games. Spain obviously falling behind early, but after that, Georgia didn't really have a sniff. Spain were incredibly dominant, and Germany were also putting a strong showing against Denmark. Their 2.66 expected goals is by far the highest of the tournament that they've managed so far. Knockout games do tend to be cagey, but you touched upon the high scoring nature of these two so far with their 10 and 9 goals respectively each. I do see more goals here, and that led to me looking on the over-under goals market. I think you could make arguments for either way, but Spain to score 1.5 plus goals at 31-20 with BetVictor did stand out for me, and that is going to be my best bet, just because I think Germany did show some frailties maybe against Denmark. They did have a couple of chances. Rasmus Højlund had a couple, I think, who won another there. If he'd have put them away, it could have been a much closer match. Jonathan Tah will return for Germany, by the way, at centre-back. He was suspended for that game. But yeah, I'm going to go for Spain to score 1.5 plus goals at 31-20. I just think they've been brilliant so far. And I've always had a little bit of a love for Spanish football as well, given how I grew up and, Spain were winning everything. They won those 3 tournaments in a row. So maybe that's slightly influenced my decision here, but I do back them to win, to score a couple of goals in this one. I think, like I said, knockout games can be a little tight and cagey, but I think this one's going to be very free-flowing. I think that might be the theme of, well, I was going to say all, but England are playing, so most of the quarterfinal matches this weekend.
Yeah, okay. So Brad going for Spain on the over 1.5 goals line there, 31-20. For me, I'm going to go in a slightly different direction, and we will bring all of our respective best bets up at the end of the video on graphics so you can see them and compare them, see who you agree with, or maybe you don't agree with either of us. I wouldn't blame you, really. I'm looking at this game. Jonathan Tah coming back into the back line for Germany. I think there's a massive plus. They did seemed to miss him a little bit against Denmark at times. I thought he really sets the tone from the back for them. And another man that sets the tone, Toni Kroos. Wow, he's just been as good as ever in this tournament. It's a travesty that he's going to retire when Germany get knocked out of this tournament or when they win it potentially. He's completed over 95% of his passes, I was reading earlier, 431 passes attempted, and he's still over 95%. I think that's the best completion rate of anyone in Euros history with over 300 passes. So that's phenomenal. I think this is going to come down to two sets of really exciting players. May come down to which manager is a little bit savvier. And for me, I just want to be with Julian Nagelsmann over Luis de la Fuente. I think he's doing a fantastic job. But I think he's also making the best of two fantastic wingers in Williams and Yamal, the two youngsters. They've been a joy to watch. That will be potentially where the game is won and lost. I think if they play with Raum and Kimmich at fullbacks, they're going to have to rein it in a little bit. They like to go forward. They're going to have to just make sure they do a job on Yamal and Williams. And I think Kimmich actually could be the key man there up against Williams. You saw how explosive Williams can be with his pace. But Kimmich is an experienced defender who has also played in midfield. He'll be used to doing a job on a player, so to speak, and he might have to sacrifice a little bit of his attacking impetus to make sure that he keeps Williams quiet. But I don't really fancy keeping Williams quiet watching him myself. I mean, he looks like a real handful. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to live up to the billing. I'm more concerned about, I don't think we've seen Spain properly tested at the back yet. And I made this point all the way through the group stages. I mean, Croatia lost 3-0, but had over 2 goals of XG there. So that was a little bit misleading, I felt. And then I wasn't that convinced Spain really put under much pressure in their other games. Yes, they're fantastic going forward. I certainly wouldn't be against Brad's angle of the over 1.5 goals, but I think that trio of Musiala, Wirtz and Gundogan are going to ask some questions of this Spanish defence that they've just not been asked yet so far. And Lenormand, I think, has looked a little bit shaky at times. Really interested to see if the home crowd get involved and play a role in this game. But yeah, I just think they're big enough, Germany, for me to want to back them to win this inside 90 minutes. They're just under 2-1, 50-8. So that's the way I'm going to play this game. But I can see goals and I can only see entertainment. I mean, I don't want to big it up too much, but I really think this is a game that will deliver on the expectation. I really watching this after Spain 0, Germany 0. Let's hope that doesn't come to fruition and it does deliver. But yeah, Germany inside the 90 for me. We'll move on then to the second game. And look, this could be, literally could be the best ever back-to-back serving of international football we've ever seen. Portugal versus France following Germany versus Spain. And I know that I'm setting this up for massive disappointments here, but like on paper, just cancel your plans on Friday if it's not watching these two games. Really, what are you doing? I don't know if my missus will agree with that.
Yeah.
They had a far tougher time expected, I would say, breaking down Slovenia in their last 16 game. But perhaps that gives a little bit more credence to England's struggles against Slovenia in the groups. Maybe we weren't giving Slovenia enough credit for just how well organised they are. They needed penalties in the end. Diogo Costa in goal. Unbelievable, saving all 3 penalties. He's got fantastic technique, pivoting off his back foot from behind the line. That's got to be a huge psychological advantage for Portugal now, you would think, if they end up going to penalties again, because he was marvellous in that shootout. Of course, we saw Cristiano Ronaldo in tears.
Oh.
He does continue to be a bit of a conundrum for this Portugal side, which I'm sure we'll come on to. But look, other than that, in the groups, they had to have a late comeback win against the Czech Republic. They dismissed Turkey quite ruthlessly, and I think that was Portugal at their best there. But they rotated quite heavily and lost to Georgia in their group game. So all in all, a little bit of an up and down tournament so far for Portugal, I think it's fair to say. France as well, they've really flattered to deceive for me so far, but you could also argue that they've never looked in any danger and they've cruised to the quarterfinals without getting out of second gear. Is this just what France do potentially? They've only conceded 1 goal so far. That was a penalty against Poland, a result that ended up putting them in this tricky part of the draw. So we'll see if that ends up being telling, because, yeah, they didn't top the group as many expected them to. A 0-0 with the Netherlands, which was an entertaining affair. They could have easily lost that one as well, to be fair. VAR intervening to rule out a goal. And they beat Austria, a stubborn Austria side 1-0. That looked a good result at the time, but then we've seen Austria crash out to Turkey. So a lot of question marks around this France campaign so far, I think. they did it comfortably enough against Belgium in the last 16, but Belgium, many said, were overly defensive in that one, which was quite surprising given their history. So I don't know. I'm struggling to get a read on France. I'm struggling a little bit to get a read on Portugal. France are 6-4 favourites to win this one in 90 minutes. Portugal are out at 13-5, and the draw is just over 2-1. Brad, can you clear up this mystery for me? Who do you think is going to win this one?
I can't, Matt, to be honest with you. The reason that I'm going, I will say my best bet now, I'm going to go with France to win at 6-4 is just because I'm more convinced based off what we've seen from the last 4 or 5 years. I think they're more experienced at the bigger tournaments. And when I think of France, I don't really think of a side that does play well that often. But they come up with the big moments, to get themselves over the line, and that's the basis really of why I'm going to go down that particular route. France, they needed a late Jan Vertonghen own goal to beat Belgium. They weren't great, but it's enough. It is enough, and I suppose you can make that argument for Portugal, but they were very, very flat versus Slovenia, and once we got to coming towards the end of that 90 minutes and extra time, they looked like they were running out of ideas. They really did. Slovenia were comfortable. It wasn't like that Slovenia were camped on the edge of their own box. They had a chance to nick themselves.
Sesko had a great chance, didn't he, later on? Should have buried it.
Exactly. If that goes in, they're out, more than likely. So, yeah, I'm just not convinced. It does feel as though Roberto Martinez is having to compensate Ronaldo to play him just because who he is and no longer what he offers. Don't get me wrong, I still think he's a good player. He's still got the ability, but let's face it, we all know now if he was to drop Cristiano Ronaldo for this game, there'd be a media circus. Regardless of what the result was, the story would become about him. We saw it. He missed that penalty. He breaks down in tears. I mean, there are two ways you can look at that.
A bizarre reaction.
I can understand if it was in the shootout and he just got him knocked out, but there's another 15 minutes to play. You're the captain. You're seeing players having to go up to him and say, look, you need to get yourself together. We've got to go again now. It's just strange. Look, you can make the argument that approach and that mentality has got him to where he is today, of course. But yeah, it wasn't. It was a very strange viewing. And so I am going to be back in France. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm not going to overthink this one because I think when games can be this narrow looking into it and it's very even, it's difficult to pull apart. You can overthink things. I want to keep it simple. Back France to win at 6-4 with AK bets. But yeah, neither side have set the world alight, let's say, with their performances so far. But France reaching the final, in 3 of their last 4 major tournaments. Of course, the Euro 2016 final saw these both sides meet. Portugal winning in extra time in France, Euro 2016. But yeah, I'm going to go with France to win. But it's a strange one. It's one of those games where on paper, they're 2 of the big hitters of the tournament. It could be a great watch, but at the same time, given how both have performed, you don't know really what to expect, do you?
No, you don't. I think you might be onto a winner there, actually, just backing France straight up. I think you can complicate these things sometimes, and I think when it comes to getting it done, they do seem slightly more convincing team of just finding a way. Yeah, I agree. Neither team have been as exciting as we would have hoped for going forward, but I still feel like this game will deliver. I don't know if I'm just setting myself up for a fall on Friday, but there's a knockout jeopardy there, yes, but Portugal may just feel like they got away with their bad game. Every tournament, the winner has one bad game where you look back and think that, that was the time where they should have been knocked out. And I'm not by any means saying they're going to go and play France off the park, but I think there may be a slightly improved performance here from Portugal, at least. It's a big decision to make on Ronaldo. I think we all have our feeling which way Martinez is going to go. I'm not sure he's got the stones to drop him, to be honest, but he's had 20 shots now, still yet to score. A missed penalty in there for good measure. His XG on those 20 shots is actually quite low. If you take out the penalty, he's barely got 2 goals worth of XG, so he kind of suggests he's shooting maybe when he shouldn't be, which isn't not the most un-Ronaldo thing ever, is it? We kind of associate him with that.
He took about 20 free kicks against Slovenia. I don't think he scored. I think he scored 1 free kick in a major tournament in his career. It's just you think.
Yeah, Bruno Fernandes there as well. He must be scratching his head. Set piece specialist as well, like some of these. But we talked about that dynamic in our Group F preview was called "Is Ronaldo a Problem?" and we're still here 4 games in having the same conversation. I think quite clearly he is, and maybe at this stage of his career, you'd be better playing a Gonçalo Ramos through the middle and bringing Ronaldo on when you're chasing the game. I think of the impact he could have off the bench. Like coming on fired up, but think it's quite clear he's not ready to accept that he's that bench impact player. And Martinez, I don't think, has got the guts to drop him when it probably will be the right decision at this point. But there we are. France don't give up too many chances, I think it's fair to say. But I thought Belgium were quite disappointing in their approach. They had the attacking tools to harm France, but they didn't really use them much until they were kind of behind. And then you saw more direct running from the likes of Doku, and you just think, where has this been for 80 minutes, really? So I would expect Portugal to ask more questions of them defensively, have more of the ball than Belgium did. I think this will be a lot more even game. And I do probably see France edging it, but to be honest, I thought with the wealth of attacking talent on shore here, and the fact that I see France going ahead and Portugal having to chase the game a little bit, I was really surprised to see odds against about both teams to score 11-10. I think at odds against, you can take this and get a good run for your money. You know both sides are going to create chances. Portugal are under pressure to put in a better attacking performance than their last game, where they played against a low block, a team that was happy to sit in. We know France won't really sit in. They'll at least go for it a bit more. As I say, I think France will probably score the first goal. And then I think that just opens the whole game up for more risk-taking, more entertainment for us as neutrals. And yeah, I think both teams to score. You're getting 11-10 because both teams have not been free-flowing in the tournament thus far. But when push comes to shove, we haven't had a situation for France or Portugal yet where they've had to score a goal to stay in the tournament. You're going to get it here, probably. I can't see it being 0-0. So that's my angle there. I think both bets could quite feasibly win there, actually. So let's see how that one pans out. This may be where the thrilling excitement just has to go on hold for a little bit. Yes, it is that time in the video where we talk about England. Sorry for everybody that we've reached that stage. I'll start with them then. Fair to say it's not been a positive tournament today. Positive in terms of the results, certainly. We're still alive and kicking in the quarterfinals, still the favourites in the betting market. But the performances, the playing style, the mood around the camp, the mood at home, the punditry analysis, the media coverage, it's all very, very negative, isn't it? And it started so well, grabbing that early lead against Serbia, roaring out the traps. But when they sat back and saw out that 1-0, unfortunately, that was a sign of things to come. A 1-1 draw with Denmark, where I think it's fair to say the Danes had the better of the play. England were probably under the pump without giving up too many chances. And then they just could not break down Slovenia as much as they tried. As I say earlier, maybe that result looks a bit stronger now that Portugal also failed to break Slovenia down. Maybe we need to give Slovenia a little bit more credit there. Yeah. But this last 16 game against Slovakia, dear me, they were so fortunate to get through it. Last kick of the game, Jude Bellingham taking it to extra time with a bicycle kick. That was England's first shot on target in the 95th minute. Slovakia had chances to make it 2-0 after getting in behind. England's passing patterns were completely non-existent. There was no progressive passing. Changes, we waited far too long for them by the looks of it. And all in all, pretty turgid stuff, really. Switzerland, on the other hand, their quarterfinal opponents have been a pleasant surprise in this tournament. They came in under a bit of a cloud, not convincing in qualifying. Murat Yakin had to survive calls for his head during qualifying. Their friendly performances weren't much better, but then they just set the tone from their first game. They got a really good start against Hungary, ended up winning that game 3-1. And that just set them off on a platform to kick on, really. Scotland held them to a good 1-1 draw, but you'd have to say that the highlight of the group stage was their performance against Germany, where the injury time winner equaliser from Germany denied them top spot. That was probably a good thing because it ended up on this nice part of the draw. They faced an Italy side that everybody quietly fancied them to, give a good account of themselves against. But I don't know if anybody expected them to do it quite so comfortably. I think Italy had one shot on target. Switzerland just cut through them, contained them, and at no point watching it did you think Italy were going to get back in that game. And there's a very reasonable chance that they can do something similar against England here. As I said, two sides arriving in completely contrasting places mentally, but yet England come in 13-10 favourites to win this game in 90 minutes. The Swiss just under 3-1, and the draw is 2-1. So, Brad, has the market got this one wrong?
I'm always interested to see what people outside of England think when about talking about this England team. So I think sometimes we can, we live in a bubble over here, like every other country. I'm sure conversations are happening in France right now and Portugal around the way they're playing. But you have to say, compared to what we've seen since 2018 when Gareth Southgate first took over or first managed at a major tournament, that England shirt is starting to look heavy again. They don't seem to be enjoying themselves like they were on the previous tournaments. And I can understand why, because they're probably apprehensive about the media and everything that's coming their way. Like you said, you'd think it would have been dumped out with some of the talk, but at the same time, the performances have been awful. And I think Slovakia was probably the worst of the tournament. It was, you're lucky. You're not going to carry on getting lucky like that the way we did. I know, look, Bellingham, it was a moment of genius in the last minute, but there's no way you can expect to keep pulling it out of the bag. The performances need to improve. The substitutions you touched upon were far too late. I mean, at half time, he should have made 2 or 3 changes. It was clear that nothing was going to happen with that team. Obviously, eventually makes a couple. He brings on Ivan Toney with about a minute left, and I think he even questioned it, didn't he, to Southgate, saying, "What do you expect him to do in that period of time?" Having said all of that, I do think, like I said, we're in this cocoon in England. And I think when you consider how poor we've been, it is tempting maybe to overrate teams we come up against as well. I think Switzerland have been very good. They've certainly got it in the capabilities to beat England, but they're not world beaters. And I think at the start of the tournament, if you were to say you get Switzerland, in the quarterfinals, England would have snatched a hand off. There's far too, there's so much quality in that England squad. It should be dealing with Switzerland handily. I think now, finally, after everything that I've just said, Southgate will realise that changes have to happen next. You can't carry on with that same team. Of course, Mark Gay suspended, so there's going to be a change in centre back. I think you've muted yourself, mate.
Sorry, I was just saying, do you think he'll change to a back 5 there, Brad? Do you think there's a chance he'd change the formation?
I would. I think I would now. I think he had success at that at previous tournaments, didn't he? I think with Stones, Walker on the one side, and then whoever you want to bring on the left, whether it's Joe Gomez, Lewis Dunk, whoever you want.
Maybe seems to be a favourite.
Yeah, Konza, exactly. And then there's obviously Trippier. I'm not sure on his situation with the injury, whether he's going to be fit, whether you put Bukayo Saka in a wing back role like we saw for Pirish on that Slovakia game, and then Trent on the right hand side. That's certainly what I'd be going for. I think Cole Palmer needs to start now as well. I think Saka's had enough games on that right wing. He's not really had an impact outside the first 30 minutes against Serbia. The left-hand side as well, that needs to change. You cannot keep playing Phil Foden. That's not his fault, but it's just not working. It's not working at all. You could see that Anthony Gordon needs to play. I don't know why. He didn't even get a look in against Slovakia, which is strange. But yeah, I would. They're the changes I've made. Whether that would work in a back 5, I've not actually sat down and really worked out player by player, but something certainly needs to give. But I do think he will make changes now, Gareth Southgate. He has to, surely. Everyone can see it. And for that reason, I'm gonna hide as I say this. This could come back to bite.
I can hear it. I can feel it coming.
I am going to back England to win outright at 13-10 with BetMGM. Switzerland have been brilliant, but I think he will make changes, Southgate. And it's hard to do this just to remove the context of the last couple of weeks. But if you put those two teams side by side, England should be winning, and they should be winning quite comfortably. Obviously, form does matter, but will it? Yeah, I think the nature of the win against Slovakia can instill a fresh belief in that squad, and hopefully now we can build some momentum from it. We've been saying that all tournament. We will see, but yeah, I'm going to be backing England to win. And I put my head on the block there, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, let's hope you're right. The market does agree with you, and as a betting nerd, I've loved watching this market form, because I saw a lot of people saying, "No, Switzerland should be 2-1," and this early money all came for Switzerland, of course, and then the market's kind of corrected, and it's the eye test versus what the numbers and the spreadsheets and the data tells you, and the data tells you that England should win this match. The eyes tell you they might not, and it's very interesting to watch the prices sort of flip and flop, but they do seem to have settled now. They seem to fancy England. Brad's giving England his seal of approval. When I look at this game, trust me, I desperately want to agree with you and stuff. And I do feel like England probably will get through this. However, I think we're hoping there's going to be wholesale changes. there's nothing really in Gareth Southgate's reign that makes me think he will make these wholesale changes. The only way I think we're getting the wholesale changes is if he decides that Mark Gahey's absence means we can't play four at the back effectively. And I think that he may just actually end up changing things by accident, like forced into this back three, back five. That is what the media is reporting, that he's considering springing that change. But I only think that's because he doesn't want to play Esri Konsa and John Stones in a two, and he doesn't want to play like anyone else, like Dunk in a two. So he's decided that the three is the best option. This may inadvertently get the best out of this England side, definitely. However, I still think that with Southgate at the helm, he's the biggest pragmatist you're going to find, really. I mean, he wants to play games in the realms of fine margins. He wants to take as few risks as possible. I know they call him Safegate, and I think that's probably an apt name. I don't agree with all the hate and vitriol he gets, but you've got to accept this is the way he wants to manage things in a tournament. He wants to be low risk. He wants to hope that he backs his players to deliver in the big moments. And I suppose for him, he would justify the way he dealt with that Slovakia game as he didn't panic and it came up trumps. Now, people who want to see the team playing a different way will look at it and say, you got very, very lucky. Your first shot on target with the last kick of the game, or you're out. And if he went out like that, I mean, there's no coming back from that. It would have tarnished his entire reign and reputation. However, he won't rush into things. He won't take risks early on. He likes his teams to play into the game. And I think the best angle into covering this is that you can. There's a market for betting on which half of the game will produce the most goals: the first half, the second half, or level. And I just think that in this particular game, if there's a new system, you've still got a pragmatic Southgate. England will look to play their way into this game, contain, and then we all know what happens. Either England score and sit back, or Switzerland score and the copybook's got to be torn up and there's a bit of chaos at the end. And I think, all things considered, when I consider the different ways this game might pan out, I think there'll be more goals in the second half than the first half. However this game pans out, I see another chaotic finish. Either Switzerland going for it and England sitting deep, or England throwing caution to the wind with Palmer and Gordon and the likes, and a change of system potentially. So this is where I'm going 13-10 about more goals in the second half than the first half. That's my plan. That's available at Betfair. We will bring those best bets up onto the screen just before the end of the video. But first, we've got to finish with the final quarterfinal, which is the Netherlands and Turkey. And this could be a goal fest, really, when you look at the two teams and the way they tend to approach things. Neither of these are particularly fancied in the outright market, I think it's fair to say. Netherlands are expected to lose to England in the semi-finals if you take the prices literally. But Turkey are the rank outsiders. They shocked Austria to get here. Nobody gave them much of a prayer against Austria, and it was a little bit of a smash and grab, it should be said. But they do have some serious weapons in their armoury, particularly in midfield and attack, some exciting young talent. Yeah, it was Demiral, the centre-back, who came up with 2 goals to beat Austria, 2 goals from set pieces, and that is an obvious area threat for them. The Netherlands have looked more free scoring as the tournament's gone on, to be fair. They had a 0-0 against France where they still offered an attacking threat, but then the goals really flowed against Romania. Daniel Malin coming on and getting a brace, but I thought Cody Gakpo looked a real handful for them once again. He's joint top scorer at the Euros now, must fancy his chances of winning the Golden Boot outright now, given that most of the other players on 3 goals have been knocked out. And Xavi Simons wreaking havoc as well in attacking midfield as well. So there's a lot to like about this Netherlands side, Brad. They'll be quite firm favourites to beat Turkey. They're 4-7 at the time of asking. So this looks to be, at least according to the market, the most one-sided quarterfinal. Is that how you see it panning out?
No, I don't, to be honest with you, Matt, just because of the fact that we all know that stadium is going to be ram-packed with a load of Turkish fans, just because of how large the Turkish community is in Germany. Netherlands, like I said, they were comfortable with a 3-0 win over Romania last time out. Gakpo, as you touched upon there, was brilliant. Again, that was also their second clean sheet in 3 games. They created plenty of chances. They could have won by a much more comfortable margin. And as you touched upon there, they're becoming more free scoring. I think I've actually become more increasingly convinced by them that the longer the tournament's gone on. And now, of course, they are on the so-called favourable side of the draw, and they could go very deep. They'd be eyeing a spot in the semi-finals and perhaps even a final as well. I think England are still probably on paper the strongest side of that draw, but we just touched upon them there. They've hardly convinced, to say the least. And so the Netherlands do look like they could be building some momentum. But Turkey, you can say the same with them as well. It's the first time they've reached the quarterfinals of a major tournament since 2008. As I touched upon there, backed by a strong Turkish contingent in the crowd. They're both very strong going forward. I do think, and I touched on this in the last video, bizarrely, the Netherlands, they do look they have looked a little suspect at the back at times, which is a surprise when you consider their names that are back there. And I think Turkey as well, the same can certainly be said of them. They've certainly given away a lot of chances so far in the tournament, particularly in the group stage. Knockout games are usually tight because of that jeopardy involved. You lose the game, you're out of the tournament. But I do expect this one to almost be more full throttle with Turkey. Turkey's games certainly have been so far.
It's hard to see this one being boring, isn't it? It really is.
Exactly. I mean, you consider the way each side is playing. Like I said, their strengths are in the forward areas. I do think ultimately the quality is with the Netherlands. I think they've got the better players, the higher quality players. Some of the players that are really building form with Gakpo, Simons, even Marlin comes on and gets the 2 goals. They've also got Wout Weghorst as well, who also he's made a career coming off the bench to score massive goals for them. So I am going to back the Netherlands to win, but I do think Turkey will score as well, and that comes in Netherlands to win with both teams scoring at 5-2 with Sky Bet. I just cannot see how this Turkish side don't score with that. Just with the crowd alone, the atmosphere in that stadium, the momentum that they're building, they're going all out, high energy games. I do think this one could be an entertaining watch. But yeah, we'll be back in the Netherlands to go through to the semi-finals. But I think the Turkish fans have got something to scream about before the 90 minutes are up.
Yeah, I'll be honest, Brad. If I hadn't have gone for my current selection, that would have been my pick as well. I really do like that 5-2 about that. And this is just when you play this game out in your head, that's the only way you can kind of see it ending up, isn't it? Kind of just a bit of a slugfest, end to end, chaotic. Chaotic is the key word. I think it's just going to be chaotic, but it should be a good watch for the neutral. We might need a pick me up after the England game as well, depending on how that goes as well. So this could be that. But yeah, I don't know that like I say, that was my initial feeling, but I think I might have found a nice one here as well. You've already given many reasons why Holland have looked really good going forward in this tournament, and Turkey are a very spirited side with attacking quality, but they look very vulnerable at the back. So I'm looking at the Dutch attackers, thinking they can have a bit of joy, thinking they'll get plenty of opportunities. And I'm landing on Xavi Simons here for a bet, because in their smash and grab win over Austria, Turkey afforded a lot of time and space to Austria's attacking midfielder, Christoph Baumgartner, who was a really impressive player in this tournament. I think we flagged him as a one to watch before, and he certainly delivered there. But Baumgartner just kept finding himself in space, and yes, the quality of his shots and where he's taking them from weren't great, but they kept inviting him on to shoot. And he actually had 5 shots in that game from attacking midfield. So there's no reason to me that Turkey are going to change their approach. They know what they've got, they know what they're good at, and they know where their weaknesses are. And they tend to play quite an expansive counter-attacking game. I think that opens up the door for Holland to have more chances, just like they did against Romania. And like I say, Baumgartner taking 5 shots in attacking midfield. Well, Xavi Simons is going to be playing that attacking midfield role. He wreaked havoc against Romania, got a couple of shots away, ended up with 2 assists, and he was just generally at the heart of all of their attacks. So every time they were driving forward, Simons was either making a really aggressive run, or he was playing that key ball into the likes of Gakpo and Milan as well. He's having a really impressive tournament, and I think his shot line here, in what I again expect to be a chaotic match, over 2.5 shots is available at 6-4. Not shots on target, just shots. And he does like to take a speculative shot on. He got 2 shots against Romania, but frankly, he should have had 3 or 4, because there were some big blocks going in and last-ditch tackles where he just dwelt on the ball a little bit. But he was at the heart of everything good for that Holland team. And I think in another game where they can expect to have plenty of chances, albeit maybe not high-quality chances, we may well see Simons taking on a few efforts from the edge of the box. And over 2.5 shots comes in at 6-4 with Bet365. But I like Brad's angle on that game as well, of the score and win. And I will just bring up both of our best bets now to round off the video. So starting with Brad's bets. Brad, do you want to just run us through them again quickly?
Yeah, I'm going to go, as you can see, Spain to score 1.5 plus goals, 31-20 with BetVictor. I think they've been very, very convincing in all areas, really. I do agree with you, Matt. They're still to be tested at the back as of yet, and I'm sure that will happen in this game. I just think those two wingers that you touched upon, Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams, have been incredible going forward. And I'm going to back them. I'm going to back them to come up with a couple of big moments for Spain in this one. France to win 6-4, keeping it simple. Those two sides, neither of them, I'm not really sure what to expect from them, but France got bigger tournament experience in recent years. They operate in moments. Like I said, I just think that they will have enough to get to go through in that one. England to win 5-4. That's probably the one out of the four that I'm not as certain with. Maybe more out of hope than expectation, but yeah, I'm hopeful that Southgate will make a few changes, like you said, whether his hands forced due to the suspension of Gay or not. I'm hopeful that he will make those changes and England can get the job done in slightly more convincing fashion than last time, let's say. And Netherlands to win with both teams scoring again against Turkey. I just think it's going to be all out. The nature of these two sides only leads to it going one way in my mind. Obviously, of course, we'll see how it pans out. But I think at 5-2 with Sky Bet, you're getting good value there as well in what should be an entertaining game, which, like you said, could pick us all up after what might be a drab affair with England and Switzerland. But yeah, they're going to be the best bets that I'm going to be going for in this one, mate.
Thanks very much, Brad. Just to round off, give you a little alternative angle into these matches. My best bet, I'm going for Germany to win in 90 minutes. I think the price discrepancy between them and Spain is just a little bit too much. I'm actually struggling to split these sides. And then I factor in the home advantage, and I think 15-8 about Germany to get their job done might just end up being a good play. But I think that's got to be an entertaining game regardless. There's just too many flair players on the pitch for that not to deliver, I think. Yeah. Portugal-France, another game I'm struggling to call. I do like Brad's leaning towards keeping it simple with France, but I'm going with both teams to score, which is an unusual odds against at 11-10. I think that's because of the caginess we've seen from both sides so far. But when there's some jeopardy involved and when one of these have got to chase the game, there's a lot of quality forwards on the pitch, a lot of pace, and I think we're you're going to get a very good run for your money with both teams to score there at odds against. England, Switzerland, as I say, for reasons outlined in the video, I'm going to go the highest scoring half to be the second half. I think England will start pragmatically, as they tend to under Southgate, and then have to make some panic changes or sit deep in the second half. And we all know how that tends to end up going. And then in the Netherlands game, just like Brad said, expecting chaos. I really like that 5-2 he put up about the Netherlands to win with both teams scoring. But instead, I'm going to play the player shots market. Xavi Simons to have over 2.5 shots in the game is 6-4. I like this, particularly given that Christoph Baumgartner, the attacking midfielder of Austria, had 5 shots against Turkey in the last 16. I expect Simons to get a similar amount of space, and he's not against taking a long shot either. So I think that you'll get a good run for your money from those selections. Let us know what you're backing for these quarterfinals in the comments. And of course, after this, there'll just be 3 games left, 2 semi-finals and a final. We may have a third place playoff as well. I'm not actually sure. I need to check that. But rest assured, we'll be previewing the remaining games in great detail. Let us know who you're backing. Give this video a thumb up if you enjoyed it. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to Odds Now. We've just hit the 100 subscriber mark, which was great given we started the tournament previews with about 20. So glad to have so many people on board on the channel now. Hope you're enjoying the content. Let us know what preview content you want to see over the coming weeks and months here on Odds Now. And we'll see you again very soon. Thanks for watching.